Imagine for a second if Americans on the left were half as passionate about protecting the unborn as they are about DACA. How many lives would be saved? It is, to me, incomprehensible that progressives promote the murder of babies. It's ironic because they're the party of compassion, right? They're supposed to be the party that stands up for the little guy, the poor, the people who can't fight for themselves, the complete defenseless human. Now, I'm not making light of that compassion because we're all called to have it. Liberals don't have a monopoly on compassion, and they shouldn't. But my honest question is, if you're so committed to compassion and helping the oppressed, the disadvantaged, the most defenseless of our society, how on earth are you killing children? Why doesn't liberal compassion extend to the most helpless among us, the unborn people? And if you don't believe they're people, well, that's a lie. It is. It's a lie. It's a lie that you've crafted for yourself to make yourself able to live with what is happening. And even the New York Times just ran a story about surgery on an unborn fetus. And as they're talking about this baby having surgery in the womb, they talk about how this, quote, baby is so feisty. Unborn babies are people, no matter how you try to spin it by calling them fetuses or anything else. Perhaps referring to a person as a fetus numbs the conscience just enough to allow you to stuff the dead human body into the disposal bag. Maybe. I mean, it's happened before. This is what happened with all the actual decent people in Germany that just turned the other way. They stopped seeing Jews as people. The thought of it is appalling. Most people, regardless of politics, would be horrified at the sight, and they would recognize it as evil, and that's why nobody ever shows it to you. The left champions the overlooked and the oppressed, if you can get out of the womb alive. Until then, you're on your own. Do you remember Senator Doug Jones? He said recently, once that baby is born, I'm going to be there for that child. That's where I become a right-to-lifer. Okay, all right, okay. I'm sure that's great comfort to the children that have come so close to getting you to care, but just had their head in the canal. The rest of their body, that was human, but their head. Defenseless babies are one thing, but the helpless children of illegal immigrants? Well, that requires a whole different level of outrage, doesn't it? Last fall, Planned Parenthood, the president, she didn't even notice this. She expressed her fury over President Trump's plan to end DACA, and she wrote, without any sense of irony, here at Planned Parenthood, we firmly believe that every person has the right to live, work, and raise a family freely without the threat of deportation or separation, and we will never stop fighting for this vision, except when you're killing babies. I'll never understand the moral gymnastics that let a person kill a baby with one fist and shake the other fist in a dramatic protest over dreamers and deportation. Now, let me flip this on its head. Imagine for a minute if Americans on the right were half as passionate about protecting the unborn as we all seem to be about building a border wall. Imagine how many lives would be saved. In a sense, the burden falls more on the right because protecting the unborn is actually part of a party platform, and we actually have not tried to convince ourselves it isn't life. We all recognize that that's a baby, and we say we believe it, but do we put those words in actions? I'm not condemning you. I'm condemning me. I should be at the March for Life this year. I went to my first march against abortion for the first time in my life this year. I mean, at least the Democrats aren't the hypocrites that I am when it comes to murdering babies. They're unashamedly in favor of it. I talk a good game in private circles and just recently on the air. We have to really examine ourselves, our apathy, our silence, perhaps our hypocrisy, to say we're pro-life yet never lift a finger to help those in the struggle. It's bad saying I'm for Frederick Douglass or I'm for Martin Luther King, but I got to show up. Yeah, I'm against what's happening in those concentration camps in Germany, but, I mean, I'm not going to do anything about it. What are we afraid of? What are we waiting for? Look at the difference just this audience made with the Nazarene Fund. Thousands of people were saved. And when we're silent, we're complicit. Today is the March for Life in Washington, D.C. as we think about the massive Holocaust. I was going to say tragedy. It's a Holocaust. Let's, each of us, try to recommit ourselves to defending the unborn, to defend life and all that that means. And to the thousands of men and women who are faithfully serving on the front lines of this battle, helping women every single day, saving unborn lives, people who are adopting children, thank you. For those people who have taken a bus, have sent their children to Washington, have taught them what this is really all about, those who are standing for the 45th time this year in Washington, thank you for your diligence and your sacrifice. Be encouraged. Persevere in your work, because it's nothing short of life and hope. There's a lot of talk lately about dreamers. They're getting ready to shut down the government over it, but there is another set of dreamers that few are talking about. You're not going to see those dreamers on TV. You're not going to read about them in the headlines. They're nonetheless, they are real dreamers. Dreamers that never had the opportunity to wake up. An opportunity that was stolen from them, not because of war, not because of famine, not because of disease, not because of anything that we always say is so important. These dreamers will never open their eyes or take a breath in this life because of a war on truth, a famine of the soul, a disease of our own minds. These dreamers will never open their eyes and squint into the light. And yet we are the ones who are blind to their reality. These dreamers are the true victims, the aborted children. Last year, Planned Parenthood murdered 321,384 children. That is more than the number of American soldiers killed in World War I, Korea, and Vietnam combined. Where is the headline? How many children have died today? Imagine the potential achievement, the joy, the intelligence that we will never know. This is a Holocaust, and it is happening right now all around us. It's big. It's overwhelming. No, it's not. It's really not. It all boils down to you. Will you at least really look at it, knowing that looking at it may change your life? Will you follow the path? Will you begin to pull the thread and commit? Abby Johnson, she is the CEO and founder of And Then There Were None. She was a woman. I would like to ask her to tell her story in case you've never heard it, because it's a story of redemption and love. Abby, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks for having me, Glenn. It's always good to be on.
You are in Washington, I assume?
I am. Yeah. I'm backstage of the March for Life.
Okay, I know you've got a million things going on. Can you first tell me what is happening today and how many people are showing up and what it's like?
Sure. So 45th annual March for Life. I mean, it's sad that we're still here 45 years after Roe v. Wade, but we see significant change in our culture. The overwhelming majority of people here are under the age of 30. I'm 37, and they look at me like I'm ancient. Mm-hmm. So it's young people here. In fact, a few years ago, the president of NARAL came to the March for Life, and in her report, she said, I looked around and I thought to myself, they are all so young. And that's true. And I think one of the reasons is because, we have a generation of people now that their first baby picture was of themselves in the womb. It's not, being a child in the womb is not something that's abstract. They can see themselves. They could see that they were potentially at risk for abortion, but they were able to live. And so this is very real for them. And it's a great time coming together, but also a time of remembrance for, the 60 million plus lives that have been destroyed by abortion. That's just the unborn. I mean, then we have to consider all the women and men who are also suffering from their abortion decisions. We expect probably between 400 and 500,000 people to be here in Washington today, although, CNN will probably say there were a few thousand. So
yeah, doesn't matter. But
it's always a good time.
So, Abby, would you just share your story? Because I think you are the key to unlocking so many doors, because you actually worked at Planned Parenthood, and you're not somebody who is, drives the abortion truck, that is shouting at people as they go into Planned Parenthood. You're a person who has compassion, and that's what led you to Planned Parenthood in the first place till you figured it out.
Right. So I worked at Planned Parenthood for 8 years, got involved as a college kid. That's the prime target for Planned Parenthood is college-age kids. I'd say that wherever there are vulnerable women, so is Planned Parenthood. And there are tens of thousands of vulnerable students on college campuses, and you better believe that Planned Parenthood is right there along with them. I didn't know anything about Planned Parenthood, but they told me that they were all about helping women. And certainly as a woman, I want to help other women. And so got involved with them, ended up rising through the ranks, was a clinic director with them for many years, and left in October of 2009 after witnessing a live ultrasound-guided abortion procedure where I saw a 13-week-old baby fight and struggle for his life against the abortion instrument and ultimately lost his life. And I knew then that two things were true, that life was, in fact, in the womb, and that there was humanity in the womb. And if those two things were true, then I was on the wrong side of this debate. So I left, and when I left, Planned Parenthood sued me, tried to take me to court, tried to get a permanent gag order against me so that I would not be able to speak out about my experiences at Planned Parenthood and all the things that I knew, and they obviously lost. And then a couple of years later, I started an organization called And Then There Were None, and we actively reach out to abortion clinic workers and try to get them out of the abortion industry. And to date, in the past few years, we have helped 419 abortion clinic workers leave the industry, find help and hope and healing in Christ, and get new jobs in life-affirming situations. And that 419 also includes 7 full-time abortion doctors who now work in life-affirming medical practices.
What was it that was the key to the doctors know? What was the key to turn them?
Yeah, they know. A lot of times they've known for a while, and they have wanted to get out for a while. But I think almost all the doctors that we have helped to leave, there's a lot of baggage that comes along with them, because when you are aborting babies, you are also usually living a pretty immoral lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And so there's tax issues, there's many divorces, there's, all of these issues with children, custody. And so there's a lot of baggage that comes along with them. And they just think, I'm never going to get out of this. I'm never going to be able to get my head above water, because performing abortion is a very lucrative job. And they think that they can't do it. And, we just show them that, look, your soul is more important than the money that you're bringing in every year.